Well, it's finally spring. You know that it was Sunday, March the 20th. Spring started. So a lot of new beginnings, and I know we're going to be able to make plans for it with Andrea as she helps guides us through our communication with God and the plans we might want to discuss with us. And we're going to have, as we usually do, a reading from the Urantia book. I believe we're going to have Ron to read to us.
Yeah, we're going to have Wayne picked out 103.41 on
Make it louder.
How's this? Is that any better?
Yes.
Okay, number 4, spiritual communion. The characteristic difference between a social occasion and a religious gathering is that in contrast with the secular, the religious is pervaded by the atmosphere of communion. In this way, human association generates a feeling of fellowship with the divine, and this is the beginning of group worship. Partaking of a common meal was the earliest type of social communion, and so did early religions provide that some portion of the ceremonial sacrifice should be eaten by the worshipers. Even in Christianity, the Lord's Supper retains this mode of communion. The atmosphere of the communion provides a refreshing and comforting period of truce in the conflict of the self-seeking ego with the altruistic urge of the indwelling spirit monitor. And this is the prelude to true worship, the practice of the presence of God, which eventuates in the emergence of the brotherhood of man.
Wonderful. That was just the right quote to pick out. Thank you so much, Ron.
Yeah, Wayne picked that out for us.
That was
Great
good.
job.
What was the number? What was the number again? What paper? What?
103.4.1.
Okay.
I have an announcement. Well, it's a new usual. Our next event, write this down and put it in your calendar, will be June the 25th at 3:00. And you can watch for the flyer in the mail plenty in advance. You'll get it by US mail if you put your address in our chat and email otherwise. So we'll look forward to seeing you then. Be another remarkable presentation you'll look forward to. We also would welcome anybody's joining in participating for your service. Any service you would like to take credit for when you reach early gates. We have opportunities for you to collect service credits. So get in touch with us. We have some exciting projects coming up and you can be a part of it. We would be normally hearing from Andrew and we'll maybe hearing from him shortly, but he will be doing some wonderful extensions of our website. Expansions, we want to add some wonderful features, including some tutorials and stories, and we would like to have some joining in on that project too. Phil, why don't you take over and introduce our speaker?
Okay. Thanks, Diane. Well, it's my pleasure to introduce Andrea Barnes, who has been a longtime reader of the Urantia book. She co-hosts Symmetry of Soul with Chris Halverson, a weekly study group, Blog Talk Radio. She does UBLA's webpage and announcements as publicity chair. She's been fellowship committee chair of outreach in 2013. If you put Andrea Barnes in the Urantia Fellowship search, comes up with 2 pages. She's been involved with the Mighty Messenger in 2017, the Fellowship Herald in 220, the Fellowship Asset Repository. I guess that's, well, assets, photos and other things. She's been involved with outreach using Craigslist or Facebook. And she's also on Quora relative to the Urantia book, Quora, Quara. So that's a lot. And today she's going to have us write a letter to God. So without any further delay, I'm happy to give you Andrea Barnes. Take it over.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you very much. Gee, I didn't know I had that many mentions in the fellowship, but I was there for some time, and I guess that's what happens. But I also wanted to just correct you on a couple things. That last thing you mentioned, Quora, it's actually Quora. And Quora is it's a discussion group where all kinds of different topics are available, and you can choose the ones you're interested in, and then you get a daily email with different topics that you're interested in. So
yeah, I'm on it too, actually. So
yeah, it's kind of a fun little read discussion group. And then I also wanted to mention that my sweet friend Kermit Anderson, who's here with us today, along with Brad Garner, is also part of that Symmetry of Soul team. So I really feel terribly blessed to have the Symmetry of Soul group in my life, and of course you guys too. Today's going to be pretty casual. What I thought we could do first of all is to bow our heads and to have a prayer and to feel that communion with each other, and to know that we are a religious group, and that let's go ahead and just do that right now. Okay. Heavenly Father, we're so terribly grateful for this amazing life that you've provided, this platform called Urantia, wherein we get to live this mortal existence. We thank you for every breath, and we thank you especially for the knowledge that we can turn to you at any moment, and we can commune, we can feel your love, and we can know that everything's going to be okay. We ask you to lead and guide our path, and we thank you for this wonderful gathering of friends and like-minded beings who crave to do your will. We thank you. Amen. Okay, I'm going to share my screen here. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, it's beautiful.
yes.
Okay, let's see if I can do more than share the screen. Let's see if I can actually get it to move. There we go. I was going to play this video, which is kind of nice, but I think it's going to take a little too much time. Maybe I'll play this when we are doing our writing in a little while. How well can you hear that music? It's just starting up.
I don't hear any music.
Do you hear it now?
No.
You don't hear any music?
Nope.
Anybody
No.
else?
No music.
Okay, well, I knew that might be a bust.
The pictures are lovely.
Yeah, it's really a nice video. So, Diane's been asking me to figure out how to play music.
You have to push a button before you share or while you share your screen.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Before, well, I did click share screen.
It's like share audio or something like that. Also, it's the same time.
Oh, is that right?
I thought it would, if you can hear it, we should be able to hear it.
I know, isn't that strange? Well, okay, that's okay. We weren't gonna, there we go. Okay, so Phil, why don't you go ahead and read this first slide for us? I'm going to go through just a couple of slides with all of you to sort of get us in the mood and to help center our minds for the letter that we're going to write in a little while. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with this.
All right. How unreasonable that you should not worship God because the limitations of human nature and the handicaps of your material creation make it impossible for you to see him. Between you and God, there is a tremendous distance, physical space, to be traversed. There likewise exists a great gulf of spiritual differential, which must be bridged. But notwithstanding all that physically and spiritually separates you from the paradise personal presence of God, stop and ponder the solemn fact that God lives within you. He has, in his own way, already bridged the gulf. He has sent him of himself, his spirit, to live in you and to toil with you as you pursue your eternal universe career.
Isn't that fantastic?
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you.
You bet. Okay, let's see. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm going the wrong way. Okay, hang on just a quick sec. I'm going to just leave it here for a second because I have some notes. This is something that right now in the Symmetry of Soul group, we are reading, and is Kermit still here? Oh, he must have had to drop off. Anyway, we're reading and talking about the decisions that Jesus made right after his baptism. And so one of the things that Chris Halverson brought up the other day, he says, isn't it glorious that the love of God was made tangible in the life of Jesus? It's not just some abstract concept. His love is real. It's a genuine, engaging love. The Master made that manifest. You can engage with the depths of your soul and feel its strength. It's a light shining in the deepest darkness. It literally reaches out its hand to you, but you have to reach out and take it. His love is that real that it can be manifest into time and space in the incarnate life of Jesus. The same God that loves us like that gave us free will, but he can only reach halfway. We have to reach the other half. We have to reach the other half. That part of us that reaches is our righteousness. Our righteousness reaches up through time to the halfway point, and his love reaches out from eternity to the halfway point, and the two meet together in the middle. We may feel emotionally moved by this, and I hope we do, but remember when it comes to worship that it does create an emotion. While emotion is an effective attention step for those of us who are animal origin creatures, the emotion is not an end in and of itself. So let's see if I can get this to come up and there we go. So that was that. That's the only notes I really have to read from. Okay, let's see. Who would like to read next? Diane, you want to read this next slide? This starts out Grace.
Sure. Grace, in all praying, remember that sonship is a gift. No child has aught to do with earning the status of son or daughter. The earth child comes into being by the will of its parents. Even so, the child of God comes into grace and the new life of the Spirit only by the will of the Father in heaven. Therefore, must the kingdom of heaven, divine sonship, be received as by a little child. You earn righteousness, progressive character development, but you receive sonship by grace and through faith.
Yeah. One of the things that the Urantia book is so amazing when it comes to is really letting us know that we have more than just an existential father. We also have a mother God. We have the experiential God. We're literally growing in her womb. And so she's the one that has us earning our righteousness, our progressive character development. And it's her we have to strike step with. Because God the Father, it's like we're the only child in existence. When we have a relationship with God the Father, it's just the two of us, like there's nobody else. But with God the Mother, it's not like that. Okay, Jan, would you like to read this next part?
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, really well, thank you.
All right. Prayer and worship. True religion is the act of an individual soul in its self-conscious relations with the Creator. Organized religion is man's attempt to socialize the worship of individual religionists. The strain of living, the time tension of personality, should be relaxed by the restfulness of worship. The feelings of insecurity arising from the fear of personality isolation in the universe should be antidoted by the faith contemplation of the Father and by the attempted realization of the Supreme. Prayer is designated to make man less thinking, but more realizing. Oh, beautiful. It is not designed to increase knowledge, but rather to expand insight.
Mhm. Yeah, very good. Thank you. Yeah, so, the Urantia book is pretty complicated, but the idea of worship and of prayer and the way they distinguish between those two things really isn't that complicated. What do they say? Prayer is self-reminding and worship is self-forgetting. And I think that when you have that self-forgetting, that's why it releases that time tension of personality. It creates a relaxation within us. Recently, in fact, because of Kermit, he told me about something called centering prayer. Have you guys heard of that? Centering prayer. It's really, really wonderful. Thomas Keating is sort of the pioneer. Of course, it goes way back before that to the early Christians, St. John of the Cross, and so many other, Christian people throughout the ages have been able to practice this and have understood it pretty well. But it's certainly something that, in my mind, I feel like is so important to understand and to practice. And so if you have a chance to pick up a book, I actually have it on my what's that program called where you can listen online to books? Audible. And I have that. I listen to it. Actually helps me get to sleep some nights if I'm having trouble sleeping because his voice is so calming. But if you look it up, it's Thomas Keating, Centering Prayer. You can find some literature on it. It's really worth looking into. And then devoting some time every day. He suggests 20 minutes twice a day to just quiet your mind, pick a focus word, a word that helps draw you in, and then let your mind, doesn't have to go blank at all. It's not about that. It's more about just sort of almost being able to pull yourself up and look down and have more of an objective viewpoint and see that all these thoughts are, they're just the top part of a lake that's got a lot of stuff on it. And it's possible to quiet it down to the point where, I think the book says something about after you pray, after you worship, sit back in quiet receptivity. And it's amazing the sorts of insights that you can get. I find myself feeling like I've just walked out of a psychiatrist's office, because some of the insights go right to the core. And if it wasn't the hand of a loving God, it would be difficult to handle, because, we all have stuff we have to work through and work out, and the hand of God is a miracle for that. Okay. Stuart, would you like to read this next part?
Sure. Worship. Worship is intended to anticipate the better life ahead, and then to reflect these new spiritual significances back onto the life which now is. Prayer is spiritually sustaining, but worship is divinely creative. Prayer is self-reminding, sublime thinking. Worship is self-forgetting, super thinking. Worship is effortless attention, true and ideal soul rest, a form of restful spiritual exertion. Worship is the act of the Son's personal communion with the Divine Father, the assumption of refreshing, creative, fraternal, and romantic attitudes by the human soul spirit.
Yeah, the book talks a few times about this romantic attitude, and I've always thought that that was really such an interesting way to talk about the relationship we have with our divine God fragment. And I've actually felt it myself. Sometimes if I'm having a worship, I almost feel like I'm being held. And sometimes when I'm listening to songs on the radio, songs that are probably written for a man or a woman that somebody's in love with, you can change those in your own mind and imagine that that's a song that you're singing to God. I do that all the time with songs. I think that this morning, one of either the Urantia Book Foundation or the Fellowship put out this first quote here: worship is intended to anticipate the better life ahead, and then to reflect these new spiritual significances back onto the life which now is. I think that's so wonderful. And how lucky are we that we have a book that tells us in great detail what our life in the future is going to be like, and how that puts this life in a perspective that you can't have without that information. This is, prayer is self-reminding, worship is self-forgetting. I forgot that I had put that in here. But I really like this last sentence about the assumption of refreshing, creative, fraternal, and romantic attitudes by the soul spirit. And, just like any relationship, it takes time. You can't expect to develop a relationship with somebody you're not spending time with. So obviously the need is great to take that time, every day if you can, to have that communion. Let's see if I can move to the next slide. Okay, now this next part that I put together is from, I've got a book right here. Can you guys see this? It's by Marianne Williamson. It's called Illuminata. Anyway, she's got some really lovely prayers in here, like almost daily prayers. And I wrote this one down. I'll go ahead and read it. Let's see if I can move you guys out of the way here a little bit more. Okay, here, let me just minimize it. There we go. Most of us agree that a breakdown of personal responsibility has led to a general breakdown of social order. While we are tempted at times to think that other people are the problem, or most adult should it be I think it's our most adult response to the problem of the world is to take full responsibility for our own part in them. The cleanup work begins at home. Ask God to remove your character defects. Get as specific as you can. Open up to the divine love and healing in your heart. No one but God is listening. No one is judging you. God does not desire to punish you, but to heal you. You are punished only by yourself to the extent that you keep your darkness hidden. Reveal it to God. Ask the Lord to heal you, and miracles will happen. I'm going to finish reading here. When we do show up in conscious awareness of our weaknesses, it's important that we hold to the faith in God's power to heal us. Sometimes we think we're so messed up that only several more years of therapy or recovery work could possibly rid us of all these faults. But this is not an attitude of true power. It is arrogance masquerading as spiritual modesty because it doubts the power of God to heal us. We must modulate from the purely psychological to the spiritual and claim the radical healing possibilities of grace. When does God heal us? Right here and right now. It might seem to take time, for the healing might unfold in time, but healing is given in the instant we request it. God's answer is as clear as our willingness to hear it. God's healing is always some form of wisdom. And one thing that I've learned is that, because we have this fragment of God within us, we can change on a dime. That's how it works. We can change. The outer world doesn't change like that. The outer world and the inner world are two totally different things. The outer world, as we know, has this process called evolution, whether it's biologic evolution, social evolution, whatever. And it takes time, and we shouldn't push it and push our agenda so much. We get really impatient. And especially as Urantia book readers, we should definitely know how problematic being impatient can be to this world. So, all right. I was thinking that we could go ahead and get out a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil and just take a little bit of time to do this little exercise that Bill and Kay Cooper came up with years ago. It was actually, gosh, I think it was 33 years ago that they gave a program. It was a 2 or 3 day process, started on a Friday night and it went through Sunday afternoon. And we did it in the mountains up above Capistrano, California. And they came along with 2 other couples, the Weatherfords and I haven't thought of their name for a while, so it's not going to come to me. It starts with an L, but anyway, 3 couples, lovely, lovely people. And they had developed all of these fantastic exercises to do. And the one that was really such a hit at this conference was one called Letters to God. And so I thought we could just take about 5-6 minutes and set ourselves to the task of writing a letter to God. And then in a little while, what we'll do, and we'll talk about it. If anybody that wants to read theirs out loud, that's fine. You don't have to. So, let it be as meaningful as you want. Don't feel like you have to write it so that you can read it out loud and impress or not impress anybody. Just make it personal for you, what you think God might really have to say to you. And then we'll turn it around and then we'll pretend like God has written a letter to us, and we'll write that down too. So I'm going to get my piece of paper as well, and I'm going to give you guys a few minutes. And I sure wish I had some music to play for you. I think I do. So you guys go ahead, find your paper and pencil, and I'll be back in just a minute. I'm going to get mine too.
I remember at Snowmass or long ago or other Urantia gatherings, them having this exercise in breakout rooms.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be really, really lovely. So I'll be right back, you guys. You've all been very busy.
I just ran out of the bottom line almost at the end of the first page.
Yeah.
Go for more pages.
It's quite engaging, Andrea.
More so than you think, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very much so. It's, there's been times when I've sat down to have a prayer and, you use your imagination. And, if you imagine that you're sitting next to God, my first response is, no, I need to be on the floor laying on my belly. That's where I feel like I need to be. You know, that's sort of incredible, humbling. And but I think slowly but surely, as you kind of move forward, you realize, no, it's okay. I can sit next to him, and he'll even hold my hand, and I can feel his arm around me, and I know that everything's going to be okay, that I don't have to grovel on the ground. I'm still a child, but I would like to grow up. And so, all right, I'm wondering if there's anybody who's interested in perhaps sharing what they've written.
I need about 3 more minutes.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
I'm going to give you 2, Diane.
Okay.
Can you guys hear this music?
No, don't hear anything.
Can you hear it now?
No,
A little bit, I think, maybe.
That's so strange.
No,
Can you hear it now?
only for a second at a time.
little bits, but it gets canceled out.
That's really strange because it's the music sounds like it's louder than I'm talking, but
Well, I think Zoom has some background noise cancelers algorithm.
oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that could definitely be what the situation is.
Mark, you said it was on the share. Is where,
Yeah, you have to activate the audio when you activate the share.
let's see, shares, you cannot share.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read you what I wrote.
Okay.
My dear creator parent, wow, thank you. Every day I'm so amazed at what I see with my eyes, the green grass, the flowers, the budding of the trees, the roses I got to smell today. With my ears, I hear the birds sing, and I know I'm a child of the living God. Help me be a worthy child and grow in grace towards being an adult of God. There's nothing more important than you, although I don't act like that all the time. I take our relationship for granted. I squander my time, and sometimes I make poor decisions. I humbly bow before your presence, and I ask you to forgive me for my inconsistencies. Your love is so sweet and so profound. I love you, and I thank you over and over for all of your many blessings and the hardships that you send my way. You got to thank him for the hardships.
Yes.
That was beautiful.
Is there anybody else that would like to share theirs? Okay, Stuart, tell us. You're on mute.
Yeah, this was easy for me to do because for many, many years now, I have simplified my life. And other than Zoom meetings, which I do constantly throughout the week, I am totally alone without family or friends. And I spend my time in loving attempt of unbroken communion with the
Wow.
Father.
Wow.
And I talk to him in as a personal, they say, share your inner life. And for me, I see that as meaning all of it, including that which is still immature within me.
Yeah.
And I see him as a loving father, and I'm never alone. Anytime I have troubles, I go right to my Heavenly Father and I share it with him. So let me share. These are thoughts that I have put together over the years that I'll share with you guys now. This is my letter. Dear Father, behind this veil of creation, I perceive you as a true and personal creator, a loving God and Father. For me, you display the attitudes of both purposive will and loving personality. You are the primal source of all those realities that I am continuously finding as having a major impact on every experiencing moment of my life. As I continually harmonize the essence of my own evolving personality identity, I perceive spiritual goodness, intelligible truth, and harmonious beauty with ever greater acuity. I am beginning to see that I am personally real only by virtue of my being centered in your original personality of the eternal being, the beneficent creator of infinitely free and loving will. You desire that I become perfect, even as you are perfect. I have great hope and expectation that you are dearly and intimately concerned with my life, with me. As a true parent loves a child, I have trusting faith that I am also loved and cherished by you. Your love utterly transcends and outshines even the very best of any humanly parental love. I do not see how even my mortal death could ever possibly put an end to this relationship between you and myself.
Wow, that is profound.
Very nice. Thank you, Stuart. Is there anybody else that wants to share what they wrote?
I do.
Well, you
I-
muted.
I'm not that well practiced at prayer, but I try to, what I do is in the evening when I lay down to rest, I have to put eye drops in every night. So that kind of reminds me too. And so I try to get into the habit. I always begin with the Lord's Prayer, and that sort of puts me in the right place. And so I would begin with the Lord's Prayer. And today I have to say, Heavenly Father, thank you for the gifts bestowed upon me every day. And grant those who are less fortunate the gifts of friendship, companionship, good health, and well-being. Thank you for your loving guidance, and thanks to the host of beings who endeavor for my welfare. Please grant peace and guidance for those who have recently passed. Stanley Schmitz, Dave Chittenden, Ruth Shaken. Thanks be to God for our good fortune. Amen.
Lovely. Thank you.
Nice, very nice.
Mark, did you say you wanted to read yours?
Yeah. Am I all? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, sure. Dear Heavenly Father, well, as you know, things are moving right along. Sure are some mysterious goings on these days. I'm sure you know what I'm referring to. I bet you're missing the mysterious part because I'm sure you know exactly what's happening and what to expect. And I'm also sure everything is going to work out fine, but in the meantime, it sure would be nice to get a few clues. Thank you, Father, for the remarkable, wonderful life I have had so far. That ancient Chinese wish sure holds for me right now. I am certainly lucky to be living in such interesting times. Sometimes I wonder if it really needs to be this interesting. But you know best. It's my new understanding that I chose this time and these circumstances in which to be born. I do hope I am carrying out the tasks I agreed to and was set here to accomplish. Your loving son, Mark.
Oh, I like that. Thank you, Mark. That's lovely.
Thank you.
How about you, Phil?
All right. Here's my letter. Dear God, please give us the wisdom to know how to stop the war in Ukraine. Please help us spread the good news of the Urantia book, a gift to our world of a divine revelation from a higher culture. Help us to express the good news to all peoples of yourself as our spiritual father and our eternal destiny as your spiritual sons.
Oh, very nice. Thank you, Phil. I like that. We're all have a little bit different flavor of letter, don't we? Isn't that lovely? All
Mhm.
unique. Every relationship is unique. How about you, Diane?
Okay. Dear Father, well, here we are on the earth road of our journey together. I am eager to move obstacles presented by my undeveloped faith and perceptions, which you created in me. I see them as a series of adventures that require okay.
Having a hard time reading your own handwriting?
You got it. I keep crossing out that require that I must progressively seek to uncover the qualities of courage, to first endure discomfort, then steadfastness, to face fear eye to eye, and to know endurance, and then experience the choosing of the faith of taking action, and then repeat this over and over until forward progress becomes a run, and then we are flying together.
Whoa.
I like it. Thank you.
I
Very
think you're
nice.
Very courageous, Diane.
I think so too.
Oh, it is courage, isn't it? I guess I'm
How-
asking for courage.
How about you, Jan? Would you like to share?
Sure. I wanted to make a comment about one of the things you said, how to do that meditation. It said, pick a word.
Right. What do they call it?
Mantra?
Mantra?
Well,
No.
whatever. But you read something from Marianne Williamson. Her
Mhm.
base teaching is the Course in Miracles. My base teaching is the Course in Miracles. And in the Course in Miracles, it says this, and I had this framed for a long time for me. Say the word God, and you invite the angels to surround your feet and and sing to you while they keep every earthly thought from your holy mind.
Oh,
Wow, well, how poetic.
All you have to say is God.
God.
When I watch my mind go, bring, rather than get mad or anything, just say God. And that brings me back to a place. But the angels actually are surrounding you and singing to you to keep your holy mind from every earthly thought that would intrude upon your awareness of your holiness.
I like that. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you.
Okay, Cheryl. You don't have to share if you don't want to.
Yeah, I'll share. I'm just
Okay.
having trouble being on the smartphone. My computer
No, we
died.
can hear you just fine.
Okay. Dear Father, I'm so grateful for our personal relationship. Getting to know the real you has truly changed my life in all areas. I'm so blessed by having close connections to you by our communion. I love you as best I know how, and even that keeps growing. Thank you for showing yourself to me as a child and for directing my searches to find you, and for so many answers to questions of all sizes. Also for directing the wonderful, precious people that I've encountered along my journey forward, upward, inward to you. Thank you for granting me a clear mind to see those things around me that show me proof of your love and existence. Thanks for always being there to comfort me. You are more than father to me. You are my best friend and confidant. I trust you even in the wildest situations that I call cloud walking. It is a beautiful reminder that as I step out in trusting faith, the next cloud will appear just as I need it there to step on. I can't always share these feelings with my friends, family, and others. I know I'm never alone because you gave me a piece of you to live within me. Thank you for all of this.
Oh, that was lovely. Thank you so much. That was very heartfelt. I like that.
No masterpiece.
Thank you, Cheryl. How
You're
about
welcome.
you, Dawn? Do you have something you want to share with us? You're on mute.
Right. Dear God, thank you so much for everything, for all you do. I hope and pray that I will be ever more and more able to excel at participating in the spiritual reality and reap the benefits of that communion and the actions, the growth in doing your will. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I pray for all your children, and I hope and have faith in your being able to lead us as we are able to be led. Thank you so much for all this, these study groups and opportunities to, like Jesus, to minister as we pass by. Thank you in advance for everything you can do to help me in my opportunities to do that. I pray that I will be able, I pray that I will be better able to remember that, to let the Spirit light shine brightly and have more comfort in being more sure of what is said is your will, your divine perfect will. All praise be to thee.
Thank you. That was nice. Thank you, Vaughn.
Let me see. I think I added a little bit on. Also, God, if it be in your divine perfect will, I continue to pray for all healing.
All right. How about you, Bob and Betsy? Would you guys like to share? I guess not, since you're on mute.
Hi, no, mine's private. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Of course. Yeah. Good. Betsy, how about you?
It's a short one.
Okay.
Okay, dear God, are we about to embark on an event of epical importance? Is every day like that, but I've been sheltered? I felt allowed to write you a letter every day, but I don't always do it. I like the idea, love the fact, I mean, that you dwell within me. That's so intimate, closer to God than anyone else. Opportunities abound from that.
That's lovely.
Yep. Lovely. Yep. How about you, Lee?
Sure. Mine's fairly short. I thought I would share a couple of observations.
Sure.
I've lived in California more than half of my life now, over 45 years, and lived in the San Francisco Bay Area and then the San Joaquin Valley. Fresno, but I visited the whole state. And for some reason, I resonate the most with the folks in LA. And today's no exception already.
Oh,
And
wonderful.
so I appreciate this opportunity to connect with you. And the other thought, after you gave us this assignment, was I recently read the 2 papers where they're meeting with the philosopher Rodin.
Oh, yeah.
And in the second paper, they have a discussion, debate about whether God is a personality. And the disciples present, Nathan, and I think it was Thomas, persuaded Rodin to agree that he is a personality, and like a good philosopher went through the logic. And at that moment, I had a first. I was really working to try to think of God as my father. And I actually had a, what do you call it when you smell something, an olfactory experience?
Oh, really?
And it brought back a memory of when I was small and I could smell my father. It wasn't a bad smell, it was just him.
Yeah.
And something that I hadn't thought about for a long time. And it actually created a peculiar sense of closeness in that moment.
Wow.
And
Yeah, it would do it.
we'll see where that goes. My thought was more
Excuse
of
me, closest to God or closest to your father? When
the
you
smell
smell,
was for my father, my earthly father.
right. So
But it was
in
in
other
the
words, you suddenly
context.
felt close to your father, who obviously hasn't been with us for a long time.
Well, actually, I was trying to be close to God and I smelled my father.
Isn't that unique? How
Yeah.
interesting.
That's super interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and of course, I've read elsewhere that, well, you think even in the Rancho book, that our relationship with our natural father has a lot to do with how we look at God,
Yes.
or the challenge that we have to work out.
Do you remember, was it your father who introduced you to God?
Oh, that was just part of my life from as early as I could remember.
Right.
Both my parents were very religious, and it turned out in a very positive way. They portrayed a God of love that helped a lot.
Oh, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
That helps.
The thought was, it's more of a prayer of thanksgiving. Father, thank you for your love. Thank you for our universe and your creator son, Christ Michael, for your infinite wisdom. And I reflected on the adversity that seems to be necessary for us to acquire wisdom. And as we grow in the spirit and create beauty and work toward world peace. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you, Lee. That story you told, I've heard that the olfactory system in our minds is one of the most profound triggers for memories. And I've found that myself. Sometimes you'll smell something and it'll just take you right back to your childhood. But the fact that you smelled your father as you're attempting worship, that's just really something right there.
Yeah, that was unique.
Yeah.
And I didn't get along that well with my father as I grew up.
Yeah.
And then of course later we got along just fine. So that memory had to take me back to age 4 or 5.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
When I would have been in that close a proximity, and it would have been natural and something other than an argument or a reprimand.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Judy?
Hi.
Hi.
I don't know if I got the directions correctly for the letter exercise. I thought we were going to do 2 parts, write 2 and then write back. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, I figured we'd do that. We'd do one and then we'd do the other later.
Same assumption on my part. And then I thought, then I was focusing, I have a current challenge. So if that's appropriate after the last year, I think it's okay. Kind of family prayer. Okay, so dear Father, Mother God, well, this journey is bringing me closer to you, both in my meditation and as I follow guidance to be with certain others in shared interest and values. I'm amazed at the coincidences that have opened up to introduce me to others who are ready to explore and amplify these shared interests and values. Right now, as I enjoy these explorations, almost appearing as initiations into your presence as it comes through others, I'm aware of my challenge to accept that for some unknown reason, I am in this journey portion solo of those biologically related to me, especially my only daughter and one of her 2 grown children with his wife and their 2 children. I'm accepting it as it is, as I do my best to be grateful for all my blessing and theirs, as it is clear to me that they are doing their best to embody their dreams in alignment with their interests, values, as well as, in alignment with their interest, values, as well as dreams. I ask you for guidance in how I can best support them in their journey. Can't read my writing. While appearing to I think I'm asking how I can best support them, not take it personally, they're non-contact, in this journey that appears to force me to, no, in their journey that appears to be, that's it, to be a focus on them establishing their family unit, their home, and their relationships with their children. That's it.
All right.
It's more personal.
That's okay. The family dynamics are always part of our life. No doubt about that. How about you, Miss Debbie?
She's out and about.
There she
Sorry,
is.
do it. I'm just listening.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. We're glad you're here. So now, is there anybody else that we missed? Ron, did you want to say what yours
Oh,
was?
I don't want to.
Okay.
That's kind of personal to me.
For sure. Yeah. It's interesting. I don't know how many churches any of you have attended, but for a period of time, I attended the Mormon church, and they don't generally have a minister that's there every week, who's paid. And it's more about giving your testimony. And it can be very, very powerful because people are standing up and they're basically sort of talking about what we're talking about right now. But it really helps you feel like a community. And as you commune and you share that communion, it just helps us. It helps us connect with each other, in my opinion. So what do you say we take just another 5 minutes and I would play the music, but nobody can hear it. Darn it, I don't know why. So let's just take another 4 or 5 minutes and get up and get yourself a glass of water if you want, but then start your letter. And I want you to pretend like this time, instead of you writing God a letter, pretend like God is writing you a letter. Okay, so that's the next assignment. And I'll say something here in about 4 or 5 minutes and we'll go from there. Okay.
Yes.
Thanks, Andrea.
I just put a link in the chat that will take you to, if you're interested, this book that Kermit Anderson actually bought for me. It's called Open Heart, Open Mind. It's by Thomas Keating. And it's a wonderful book about centering prayer that just has all kinds of information in it. They call it contemplative prayer or centering prayer. It's called both. But they do just say to pick a sacred word as a symbol, that you help center yourself with that word and help sort of calm the inner chatterbox that we've all got going. The chatterbox. Okay. So, did everybody get an opportunity to reflect on what God might say to you? That's a more difficult letter to write, in my opinion. Did anybody else have a little bit more difficult time with that?
I was doing very well, but I wanted to, I was on mute, so I didn't catch it quick enough. What you spoke of earlier about this open heart, open mind is very much parallel to a transcendental meditation
Similar,
technique.
yeah. But with the transcendental, I think that they were focused on more of just quieting the mind. This is much more of a religious approach.
This is about not stuffing your thoughts, but recognizing each thought as it comes to the surface, like a bubble bursting on the surface of a pond, and then going with that thought. And then after a while, it occurs to you, oh, I'm not doing my mantra. Am I done with my thoughts? And then if you are done with your thoughts, then you go back to the mantra. That's just one small part of all the things that the books are written about.
Okay, well, let me go ahead and I'll share mine with you. I had a little bit of a hard time. I think it has to do with just, being hard on yourself. And we tend to get in a very old wineskin about God's approach with us. But I'll go ahead and let you know what I said. Beloved child, yes, you have a lot of growing up to do. It's you who pulls back from my intimacy. I am here always waiting to smile on you and teach you. Keep up your study of the fifth epical revelation. It may not be thought of much by men and women of your age, but it will be in the future. Anything that you can do now to pave the way forward is appreciated, as you and your fellows are my boots on the ground on this beleaguered world that we lovingly call Urantia. My peace I leave with you. But remember, I am always right here. How about anybody else? Would anybody else like to share their letter from God?
I could.
Okay, Jan, go ahead. Maybe move just a little bit closer to your microphone.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I have a strong Christian background from a little girl. So have heard. You are pleased.
Breaking up.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
We'll mute. So.
You are my beloved son, in whom. Can you hear that?
No, you're breaking up pretty bad, unfortunately. Darn it.
Well, you could put it in the chat.
I'm gonna put myself on mute. Maybe that all of us can do.
Okay, that might help, Vaughn. Jan, how about if you try one more time?
Okay. Can you hear me? No.
Yes. Yes, we can hear you. We could hear you.
Okay. You are my beloved son, in whom I am well pleased.
You've broken up again.
That's okay.
How about this, Jan? How about if we take somebody else and then maybe come back? Maybe you're just having a little bit of a troubled period
Yes,
right now.
yes, yes.
You may want to write it in the chat.
No, we'll come back to you, Jan. Maybe we'll be able to hear you in a minute. Phil, how about if I go in a little rotation here? That way I can keep track. Phil, how about you?
All right. Dear Phil, as you know, your world is still troubled by barbarism, but continue to stand up for truth, beauty, and goodness. Continue to spread the good news of the Urantia book. And continue to spread the good news of my love of all of my spiritual children. And when you are done down there, I will welcome you with loving arms into my eternal life.
I like it. Nice job, Phil. How about you, Mark or Ron or Wayne? Any of you guys want to share?
We could go in that order if you want.
Okay.
All right. Here's mine. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Dear Emmanuel, I thought it would be fun to use your Hebrew bar mitzvah name on this occasion. Thanks for your note. You are right. Things are really bubbling up right now on Urantia. But I think you will all be amazed and delighted at the end results. Some people are calling these times and events biblical, and I don't think that's overstating it at all. I do hope you and yours are prepared and are anticipating what is about to occur on your planet. I'm looking forward to it myself. With love, your Heavenly Father.
Very nice. Thank you, Mark.
I don't have anything. I just,
Okay, that's all right.
I'm a complete blank when I think, oh, what is the Father saying to me?
That's okay. That's no problem.
I don't know if Ronnie has something to share, but I get the feeling that maybe he doesn't. I'll be sure and let him know to get your attention.
He
if you want to
deserted.
share.
He deserted us.
I get him mute again so we don't interrupt any other people.
Okay. Jan, you want to try again?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah?
Mhm.
Yes.
Jan, you may want to turn your video off, leave your sound on. Your bandwidth right now is struggling. So if you turn the video off, you have a lot more bandwidth to put your voice on it.
There you go.
Good idea, Stuart.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Absolutely.
that's better.
Yes.
All right. You are my beloved son, in whom I am well pleased. That's it.
Okay.
Oh, that's it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
we thought you had stopped again.
No, that's it. I feel like we're working our way to God.
Yeah.
There.
Hey, that was exactly
And
the
we
fix
see face to face, we will see him. That's what I will hear.
Okay, good. We thought you had frozen again.
No.
No, with the video off, your bandwidth now can handle your voice alone very well.
Yeah, good job.
Very good idea.
Thank you.
How
Thank
about
you.
you, Diane?
You're
Oh,
muted.
you're on mute, Diane.
Thank you very much. Right. Dear Diane, I bless your trust to depart from your prior beliefs and accept what you now sense as truth. Our cooperation can only get more in unison since you are now sequestering more time to be in communion in prayer and worship together. I know you feel my love and seek out that bonding feeling we share often. Please devote more time to receiving my wisdom messages and answers to your many questions. I am here always.
Wonderful. Thank you, Diane.
Yeah.
How about you, Cheryl?
Okay, this was kind of hard because I got distracted and disjointed over the chatter.
Yeah.
But anyway, my dear child, it is I that thanks you for responding to my love and search for you. I desire to share as much of myself as you can accept in love and to add to my personal knowledge of the who you are becoming without overwhelming you. I truly enjoy the gifting you with those things that add to your own efforts and desire to be as I am. I enjoy your visits, energy, dedication to my purposes and will. I encourage you to remain focused in your service to others. Keep asking for our help.
Wonderful. Thank you, Cheryl. That was lovely. Thank you.
You're
How
welcome.
about you, Vaughn?
Okay. Dear son, keep up the good work. I know it seems sketchy, but keep on keeping on. Listen closely and be quick to note the leadings in case they are from me and my divine reality. Know you are loved and I am always with you. Be here now. I'm glad that you are counting your blessings so much more this last month. That is, as you know, so good. Enjoy and trust in me always. Get out and get about. That has always been your path. And work smart. Listen closely and be at peace in slowing down. Acting like you are 10 years older than you are instead of like as if you're 10 years younger, like you have so often said to others for so long. Review your notes. Communicate in all your ways, but carefully, and drink in all that which you enjoy about the spiritual study groups, etc. Be here now.
Wonderful, Vaughn. I
Okay.
just have to say that I enjoy this so much because it gives you such a lovely peek into each other's soul. It's just, I love this. So I'm glad we did this. Thanks. Thanks, Vaughn. Lee, how about you?
Okay. I was reflecting on how the Rancher book guides us that it's our thoughts as much as our words that conveys our meaning and intent. And I suppose it would be that way with God. So I developed 5 points, and I thought in terms of the word admonition that's used in the Rancher book a lot. And I'm sure I could use those. The first, to listen to my thought adjuster and to be open to the spirit of truth, the leading of the spirit of truth. Second, to keep the human end of the channel between us and God open. And I think the book reuses the phrase ever-flowing stream of spiritual energy. Third, to meet someone new every day and to build the relationship, a relationship with them, knowing that that can survive this chapter. Next, patience. Several places it gives illustrations of the need for patience, as with Adam and Eve and others. And that's appropriate for us, particularly with the challenges we have. And then last, to be a kingdom builder, I sometimes use the term community builder. That's been kind of an avocation over the years. And it does require a lot of patience, but it's also rewarding. And it is a ministry.
Lovely. Yep. I just wanted to make a couple of comments. You mentioned the word admonition, and you remember how the book not only calls this divine fragment that we have within us a thought adjuster, but also refers to it as a mystery monitor. And when you think of the word monitor and admonish, it's the same thing. So you're right to think of the adjuster as being an admonisher. And then the other thing you mentioned was, I think you said it's our thoughts, but the correct thing I think is it's our thoughts, not our feelings, that lead us Godward. That's the quote. It's our thoughts, not our feelings. And I kind of made a reference to that at the beginning of the show about how, when you are communing, you're going to have feelings, but don't stop there. Don't think those are an end in themselves. That's just, we're just in the vestibule of having some sort of communion with God. We should never be satisfied with our meager attempts now, not to dismiss them, but to make them less than, just that, everything we're doing here is just such a baby step.
Thank you. Well,
thank you, Lee. I really enjoyed that. How about you, Judy? You're on mute.
Yeah, it was harder for me because it stirs a lot of emotion. So I have to do a lot of work to stay in a calm place. Okay, dear Judy, I know of your situation. I've been with you from before your birth into this family system, as well as with you in it as you survived it and then duplicated it with your 2 attempts to establish your own family unit. In the first, by birth of your only daughter, parented by a man like your daughter's biological father, who was wounded in his relationship to his mother and father, therefore handicapped in relationships with you, as well as in his relationship with me and others. So a child parented by that man still carries wounds of his family system duplicated with that daughter, both before and after you two were divorced. Be patient as your daughter will unravel her path, both with her biological father, their history, and how you were perceived and communicated with. All is moving in this direction. I am with her as she grows. Give no attention to her appearing dislike of you with her dismissal of your invitations and communications. She is in her own unique path. Do not stop your journey with concern for her. She will not hear nor honor your contributions at this time. That's it.
That's lovely. That last sentence, when you talk about kids, they will not hear or honor our advice. Yeah. That should be carved in stone somewhere, Judy.
I know that the greatest mantra is, it is what it is. Don't fight it. It is what she is. Then recently I got a great one, as some other women are experiencing that with their children. And I said, oh, that's right. Your son or daughter is in the know-it-all 50s. I was there too.
Yeah, that's cute. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing. Diane, do you have something? You're on mute.
No, I'm relieved to hear it coming from other mothers' mouths, because it can be one of the most traumatic events in your life when you've been such friends and loving and caring for children for so long, and then they just wander off in the mist like it never happened, and And it's a very difficult thing to come to grips with. And it took me years to come to grips with it. But I recently, this is encouraging. I decided I did the same thing to my mother. I wandered off to California and did not communicate enough. So it must be just part of the genes. But recently I got a little wisdom in discussing this with God to just be the most neutral parent, no judgments. You're totally happy on your own. They don't have to worry about you. You're fine. And you're finding fulfillment. And actually, that creates a little hearth to which they can go to, an untroubled place in the world, and just pour out everything, I'd wish. And by golly, it has started happening without my complaining or being upset or just being the most calm, unassuming, but available person. Now, my son has started coming over, just dropping in and sitting at the table and wanting to talk. I'm like, how did this happen? Unbelievable.
Good for you. Good for you.
Thank
That's
you
good
for
advice, Diane.
Yeah,
Good
thank you
advice.
for sharing that. It has been one of my greatest challenges.
Yes,
To both honor their choices and at the same time honor the sense of sadness and grief that comes up for me when the holidays come and go. I mean, the whole year comes and goes, but when the holidays come, it's extremely challenging to stay in the spirit of the holidays when this stage is being traveled through without judging it.
It's so interesting that we're talking about a relationship in this class today. We're talking about having a relationship with a parent, God, and how often does he feel like what we're complaining about right now? He sits there and twiddles his thumb, waiting for us to have a conversation with him. I bet years and holidays and everything go by. He's like, come on, talk to me.
Great insight.
Yeah.
I heard
And
something.
he is the parent that you just mentioned, Diane. He's that neutral parent that you can go to, that you can sit at the table with, and he's always going to welcome you back. He's never going to chastise you so terribly that you won't come back. And that's really, it's really interesting that you're Judy, that you brought this up, and then Diane, you embellished it. And then my reflection is, gee, how do you think God feels?
Well,
All right, Stuart. Go ahead, Vaughn.
I have something.
Okay.
I heard something. Maybe it was on YouTube, right? So it must be true, right? I heard something about how, I don't know if it's psychobabble or what, that the child sometimes, I'm sorry, let me back up. Our society doesn't support the family, and that makes it hard for the family to support the individual, in my opinion. But I heard something about how the child, sometimes not knowing how to do it better, needs to find their own self, to be their own self, to stand on their own 2 feet. And so maybe this clumsiness is something to do with that. What do you think?
I think you could be onto something. Judy, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, the man I was married to very, very young, a teenager, had a really domineering, controlling, even violent personality. And so for my daughter to have a boundary with me is actually a really good thing, because it's particularly, when I didn't know better and I accepted that behavior, I role modeled, that behavior is acceptable. And so when she started doing these dismissal, almost to the point of appearing to dislike me, I thought, I think that might be a good sign. It hurts, but it might be really good baby step for her in her gaining back her voice and reevaluating the whole family system, both my part and her dad's part, because some kids can stay wounded and not gain their voice. And the voice is necessary, I think, for a woman, in order for her to take assertive, active steps in her life, but it's also assertive to be able to set boundaries even to a parent. So it's really, I try to switch it around, and this is a celebration. This is an acknowledgement of a step that she's taking in the direction of her then being free. He was an atheist. So, so it's also a step, that she can disconnect from that. And as she looks more closely into the more traditional Christianity. So it is. Thank you for sharing that. It's a good in both.
Well, that's a lovely insight and such a deep understanding. And I just want to reflect again on this Mother Judy's love. And we can extrapolate that to the love of our heavenly parents. I mean, it's just, it should be so warming to understand the struggles that we go through if we have children, and how sometimes hurtful that can be. And yet we don't waver. Our love doesn't waver. And that's the love of God. Stuart, how about you?
Yeah, and first, let me just say that when I get a letter from God, or let's say a response, when I have communion with the Father, I share both my prayers and share with him my needs that I need help with. And of course, in the worship, I connect again to the warmth and love that I have for him without condition. And in those moments, I always take the time in meditation to quiet my mind and wait for some sort, if there's anything right away that I can get back after putting out that expression of communion. And it always seems to me that the Father does respond initially, and he does so, but he doesn't do it alone. It seems like the Mother Spirit adds in the idea. In other words, my responses from the Father are not so much verbal as they are a spiritual insight that I can dwell on. After I stop my communion, I sit there and I dwell upon it. I sort of absorb it into my adjutant mind to understand it better, and then to make a commitment on what to do with it. And I think the Mother Spirit works with both her cosmic insight that she gives us and the Holy Spirit in order to make it clear to our mental understanding. So let me read to you what I have from my Father. And this is very typical of the kind of thing that he gives me a letter in return. Dear son, the inconsistencies and imperfections that you perceive in this purposed world are an essential part of the human life experience. The pathway of life is beset with overwhelming challenges and obstacles, and you are a part of the dance. No one is excluded. Your life provides manifold opportunities for comforting the suffering and healing the infirm, for inspiring the renewal of hope and exhibiting courageous resolve. Realize that the life experience offers an ideal arena for personal growth. The apparent inconsistencies and imperfections of this often all too real world serve only to bolster the unfolding and progressive goodness in the divinely willed creation. You have been given the free will choice to participate in making the progression of goodness a supreme reality. Your efforts in this regard effect reciprocal changes in both yourself and in the world around you.
Powerful. That's
Wow,
powerful.
that was wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Stuart. Bob or Betsy, do either one of you guys want to share?
Yeah, Stuart, though, you're a pretty hard act to follow.
Yeah, right.
But mine, another short and sweet. Dear beloved daughter, I've given you everything, including my son and my love, and yet you You still have fear. Remember to trust in me, and I will always be there for you. That's it.
Lovely. I love that trust. Trust, you know, we can move our faith up to levels of trust, but that takes the school of hard knocks to start making that happen. So how about you, Vaughn?
I took a turn already.
Oh, you took your turn. Yeah, I'm sorry. How about you, Jan?
I did say something.
Okay, okay.
But
good,
what
yes.
I'd like to add is something from the Course in Miracles.
Sure.
As we are one mind, God has one son, and we're all that. So you have to start with the oneness that we all are. So every message that I heard that, you know, that got through your message, everybody's message is mine. Every blessing, every gift of love is maximal. It goes out into the universe and is multiplied. It's never diminished. You cannot take it. I can't take it, and then there's none left for you. It absolutely is the opposite. So
Yep.
everybody's message from God is mine. All brothers receive our mine. Blessings I give our mine as well.
Lovely. Thank you, Jan. And Debbie, we're thinking about you too. So to end the evening, I was thinking that we've shared things that most people never do. I mean, sometimes like I said, if you're in church, but a lot of times if you're in church, you're just listening to a minister. But what we've done here today is to really open up with each other and to share our soul with each other. And so I thought maybe as a way to end, we could just look at each other and maybe just go from one person to another. Obviously, we're not looking at each other, but what I'd like you to do is to look at each person that we have. And there's 12, 13, 14, 15 of us, I believe. Debbie, you're invisible to us with our sight, but we know your heart and we'll reflect on you. So go through each person here in the room, reflect on them for just somewhere between 5 and 10 seconds.
Andrea, could you kindly stop share so I can see the whole screen?
Oh, for sure, for sure. Let me get
Thank
that
you.
out of there.
Was just about to do that.
Oh, yay, there you are.
Oh, yay. Okay, so here we go.
Hi.
We're going to take about a minute or two, and we're just going to go around. We're going to reflect on what each person said. We're going to validate that person and bless that person, and that will be a lovely way to end this communion that we've had with each other. So go ahead and get started.
Do this silently.
Just silently, right?
Just like the part of my prayers for God.
I'm feeling some love. All right, you guys. It's been a lovely afternoon. I'm glad you were all here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, you guys.
Well, Andrea,
care.
thank you so much.
You're
Very
so
much
welcome.
to
Invite you all to come back.
Thank you very much.
Okay, big thanks to Bill and Kay Cooper who developed this little idea, and it's just wonderful.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
All right.
So
All right, you guys. Love y'all.
Yeah, thank you so much.
much.
Remind you of our next